and defensive stance for their composition. However, Zipping offers almost the opposite. She offers a very aggressive and a very mobile supporting style where you're able to stay on the move, you're able to fight with your team, you're not worrying about tethering and all of that stuff. You just pop your ultimate, you're constantly healing, and you're constantly able to give value to your team with your actual individual actions as well. Obviously, Kurumi can do this, but Zipping has potentially more value in the neutral as she has an extra dodge because of her F ability. So she can do a lot. Obviously, she's been nerfed, and on this current patch that they're playing on, it's definitely in a nerf position. I still think because of the mobility and because of the way that Sand Siphon occasionally wants to play, it offers almost the equivalent value that Kurumi does, just in a different way.
Fair enough.
So
we saw that first fight take place, by the way. I really want to. I don't.
It's a very long-winded way of answering the question without answering the question. Basically,
I still appreciate the insight from a solos player versus a trios player, but I really want to talk about what happened with Wolves there in that initial fight, because Zem there kind of goes a little crazy, right? They get the knockback with the Tessa. He anticipates the enemy Tessa from GG, throwing the ult into their face. Even though he's stage 2 with that blue charge and right in their face, he cancels and point blank tap dodges the incoming Tessa ult and then just turns on them and picks up 2 eliminations very quickly, leaving GG in a 1v3 scenario. Like, I think it's so clean. Speaking of which, coming over now, 5-2-1 into EWG. That F3 putting in work for 14 right now, but 14 completely isolated from the team. They are able to get the Bane down. The question is, will the Bane buy them back into coming in? It's just 9 here. My goodness, the Bane coming in huge right now. Pampy trying to buy his space. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the resurrection.
Move, Pampy!
9! Oh my goodness! The Bane coming in where it needs to be, and 5-2-1 has to get out of there because the potential third party coming in. Oh my god, no! He stops the res! He was right there! He just needs a little more, but the range shot to EWG is going to get locked off to it. G is
and
back.
they res as well. They res.
Did they?
Yeah, so the third member who died and died for good resed and is resed at the soul altar. But one thing I wanted to know, since we were just talking about it, in this specific situation, the zipping was actually very, very useful and much more beneficial than a Kurumi would have been. And the reason being is because that Mortal Defiance proc saved the zipping from the Moonbane. So one of the things that F3 from Kurumi cannot do is prevent damage from Moonbane hits. The damage reduction doesn't prevent Moonbane damage from taking effect. So in that very specific situation, zipping was actually a far better choice, and they were able to stay on the move, and the healing was coming through while they were on the move instead of having to sit in a Kurumi circle inside the Moonbane. So definitely one of the reasons why here, for example, zipping was a much better pick. However, in other situations, which I'll try and look out for later on, I'll try and find more examples to sort of advocate for the fact that both are in fact good. But for the moment, EWG and 5-2-1 are scrapping it out. 5-2-1 in a 1v2 situation, but he's not doing all that poorly. Yin, he's still got his ultimate, but he needs to get out of the 3-ban zone here to get it online. 14 getting parried here. He has no weapon. Oh no, he pulls another one out. Yin getting the overhold on that hold dodge. Can he find that last hit? No, he cannot. 1 HP. And 14 stays alive on a frame of health. Oh, look, my lord.
9 gets resurrected, and he makes the most of it. He comes in with the F to save 14 at the last possible moment there. 9 says, look, y'all got my back. I'm going to have your back. I love to see it. EWG, man, they are playing on some wild today. This is not the EWG I'm used to seeing whatsoever. These guys, like, the coordination, I feel like has always been an issue with EWG. I don't know what's gone on over this last week, but in terms of like coordination, EWG is playing out of their mind today. These guys are on point. Their comms, I would love to just have like a listen in on their comms today because they are playing crazy coordinated. Whatever their coach has had them doing the last week is working, Duncan.
Absolutely. Another coach who I think is turbo base and has been doing a really good job is Wolves' coach. Like Wolves is, although they haven't done very well today, you know, they haven't put up those numbers today, unfortunately. It is what it is. So far throughout this bi-weekly and last bi-weekly, they have shown a considerable amount of improvement from last year. They've improved a lot. And not only that, but Wolves also, their coach for trios is the same as the coach for solos, and we saw how well CDY performed in the first bi-weekly. Unfortunately, Kai Bao didn't manage to qualify for the finals this bi-weekly since CDY was subbed out for Kai Bao, and I think it was simply, you know, like we'll give Kai Bao a go on the bi-weekly, you take a break, CDY, and then, you know, and at the end of the day, it was probably to see who's going to perform better for the org, that sort of thing, most likely. And unfortunately, Kai Bao wasn't able to make it work. I have to say, his first day with Zai F3 was kind of troll, and if he hadn't played F3, he probably would have done better. Because he did move over to F1 in the second day and did a lot better. But hey, it is what it is. You got a limit test. But GG, you know, speaking of limit test, they may have they limit tested a little too hard, and Wolves take them down. Speaking of Wolves, though, 6 kills on the board, and they are popping. Very happy.
You know, Wolves is a team that, you know, used to perform very well on Transformers, and then as Transformers slowly pushed further and further out of the meta, it felt like Wolves suffered more and more for it. Now they're coming in. They are really good at playing these hyper-aggressive comps. Skirmisher comp, probably their best comp, in my opinion. So coming into this Firefly map, not too surprised to seeing them doing very well. You know, typically I think of them as a Holoroth team, right? But on a map where they have Fireflies, they're playing their best comp, which is an early game comp that is capable of, you know, going in and out of skirmishes. I don't think I'm really surprised to see them at 6 eliminations here. I also think GG pushed that a little hard. You know, they invested their Viper ult trying to lock onto Zem. They could not get the elimination onto Zem, and they overcommitted a little bit, and Zem just turned around with their own ultimate, and Wolves was able to capitalize on it very quickly. I think if I was GG, that ult was all the way through, and I didn't even have the armor off of a single member of Team Wolves, I think you back up and reevaluate committing to that fight at this stage in the game, especially with how close Zone 1 is to collapsing onto Zone 2. Now, not only do they lose the fight, but they're going to lose out on these Realms of Yang, too.
You know what, though? Yeah, I think they might lose out on the Realm of Yang, considering that I think they're actually dead.
Oh, did they don't get eliminated?
I think they got eliminated from the lobby, because I was taking a very close look at that map just now as it was on screen. I couldn't see them, not in soul form, no nothing. I couldn't see anything. So, you know, I might be blind. I may have just not seen them, and I might have not caught them. But that's a rare sight. We love to see it, though. The Michael Jackson NIHQ on Takeda. Going in on the XCG. Popping those Tomahawk ultimates. The Blistering Edge coming out. The Takedas, the NIHQ. The Michael Jackson here. He's getting cooked by the Assassin's Lunge. Fool me once. But, you know, you're not fooling me thrice, big dog. CXZ. You're not getting away with another one. I think he was hoping that he was stuck in the wall there. He wasn't able to get that third one, but he was chaining those Assassin's Lunge. Almost cooked him, but unfortunately, they weren't able to make it work. But we're heading right into another one. JDG up against 5-2-1. Pampy taking a chunk of damage initially, but I think he immediately recovered with that F1, getting the heal off. JDG separated here. The Tumulcol went wide. Oh no, it was a different Tumulcol. PP now using his on top of the Kurumi ult, and it looks as though 5-2-1 may have bitten off more than they could chew. They're inside the Tumulcol. They're on top of the Kurumi circle. This is not where you want to be. This is so perfect example. Thank you, JDG, for giving me something else to talk about. So right here, Kurumi was the better option because of how they played it. The damage reduction came through very clutch. The Kurumi circle, they were forced to fight on top of where the Karumi circle was, because the Tumult locked them in, and they didn't have their own Tumult cult to give the team immunity to the sand wall. Now they were all locked in here, forced to fight on top of the armor circle, making it nigh impossible to actually come out on top. A perfect demonstration of why Karumi in this comp can also be an equally good choice as Zipping. We're just serving them up to me. Thank you very much. Mwah. Tasty. But
speaking of serving things up, trying to cook the members of KLA here. Leo on that ferry. Oh my goodness, CXZ a little separated from the team here, but they need to be very careful. The potential for third party huge coming here. KLO trying to turn back in onto TE, but Wolves just sitting in the wings here. Wolves with the Mystic Might. It looks like they went and picked up a Morris Blessing instead of heading into the Realm of Yang with their 6 eliminations. But, you know, the damage reduction coming in there on the Mystic Might, as well as being able to track down other teams when you're playing this sort of skirmisher comp that wants to find as many eliminations early. I kind of agree with heading out and picking up the Mystic Might if you see it on the map there. Zem coming in. Oh my goodness, what is QGG locked into here? Was that terrain? Am I going crazy here? Were they actually stunned?
I'm not sure. I don't know what just happened.
This is the game of weird interactions if I've ever seen it, Duncan. But Wolves able to capitalize on it. Now at 10 eliminations, they come in for the third party there and clean up 4 of the eliminations between TE and KLA. Ooh, this is huge for Team Wolves. This is the game they needed to have a good day.
Absolutely. 10 eliminations on the board, and they're looking to keep the ball rolling. But EWG here, we're going over to this scrap. They do have that Vermilion Bird's Might. I'm not sure why you're trying to stay alive, 14. Literally, thank you. Okay, good. Okay, it's better that you die here because you're going to die anyway. And it looks as though somebody else is going to die anyway. JDG Kiki as well is going to be taken down. But again, with that Vermilion Bird's Might, it is not the end of the world. You're not going back to the lobby just yet, my friends. You are going to the soul, the spirit realm, and you can resurrect yourself somewhere else. But luckily for JL, they were able to come in and pick up those kills. And I mean, when I say luckily, I mean luckily. They are actually very, very close to not being over the line for this qualification into finals. Speaking of qualification into finals, KLA also need to try and find their way in. They're very close, only 4 points off behind JL, but they need to make quite a bit of an impact in the next couple of games. TE not looking too good considering they just died and they're trying to maintain their spot there. All of these players, all of these teams from 8th to 12th are all, I mean, Bowder, less likely that they're going to get overtaken by the lower teams, but you know, it's definitely plausible. Below that point, it's definitely up for grabs. Those spots are up for grabs if those bottom couple teams manage to bring out some massive games. And it's not impossible either. They could definitely do it, considering that, I mean, this game isn't over yet, but we also have another 2 Firefly games after this game. So, and you know what Fireflies means? A lot more ults, a lot more potential action. So it's definitely doable, and they're going to have to watch out and make sure that they don't just go quietly into the night. They need to fight for it, and I'm sure they are. Did we find out if GG was out? I think they are. No, they are. They are out. They're out of this game, unfortunately.
I was going to say, speaking of fighting, though, we're getting ready to head up to that second realm of Yang. There's something I want to talk about that we haven't talked about in a while, right? You talk about that Vermilion Bird's Might. We see JDG let themselves get eliminated so they can move out. There's a lot of advantages to that, right? Even all the way back when we first saw Vermilion Bird's Might come in, we used to see some teams that would go out into the zone and die at the very end of the Vermilion Bird's Might and use it as an information gathering technique, right? Because you can move around the map as a ghost, see where teams are rotating, see what's been picked, what's not been picked, decide on a much better spawn location. Sometimes, like if you're cut off from the good side of the map, you can actually die and then push through the middle of the map with not having to worry about other teams potentially catching you out, move to the more beneficial side of the map and res over there while collecting information moving across. This is something that is really, really good for these teams. Information is really key, especially heading into this stage of the game with the second set of Realms of Yang coming forward. But also, we've seen many teams in older seasons kind of fight out as long as they can, not realizing they had like 10 seconds left. And if they had just let themselves die, they would respawn. And then all of a sudden they die like 2 seconds after the buff goes away. This is a level of skill, like we talk about how skillful these players are, but the skill ceiling for them continues to go up. They continue to expand that horizon and get better at the game, and we don't see stuff like that anymore. But speaking of seeing stuff, we're about to see XCG go head-to-head here with EWG. NiHQ, not off to the great start, gets knocked around twice in the air here, though. He will throw the F out, but that is Dragon's Roar, I do believe, coming in. NiHQ, oh my goodness, forced to go ahead and invest the ultimate here as he gets chased down. Will find the fan R&B off that gold fan, but he is just getting tossed around like a sack of potatoes here inside the realm of Yang. EWG really pressing the advantage that Cannonball has here into this particular comp as hard as they can go. 9 taking quite a bit of damage, but NiHQ here, thanks to Zhao Nan there on the zip, able to get most of their HP back, will reinvest the F here. No blue time coming through. EWG, though, immediately swapping to the pistol, getting some huge damage out. Zhao Nan able to get some of that armor back up here and keep it alive for the rest of the team here. EWG 14 caught out there, though, in the Wisp, is going to take a ton of damage. All of a sudden, XCG
beautiful shot
it on his head, but EWG is going to find one. It's a 2v2 now, I do believe. No, EWG, it's a 1v... Isn't it? It's a 1v2, right? No, I'm not crazy. 1v1? What is happening? The camera goes crazy.
Whatever it was, it's over now. But I want to say, I didn't notice. I saw it at the beginning of this fight, and I was like, wait, did my eyes deceive me? But no, EWG 9 is running F3 the Yuation. F3 Yuation. The jump. Ladies and gentlemen,
we saw
the jump. The hop and skip.
14.
It's actually, that's crazy. I didn't see it earlier. I only just saw it. And for those of you who don't know what this ability does, essentially you just sort of jump into something or jump in a certain direction with gold focus. It gives you gold focus, and when you get that jump and you land on somebody, or in, like, there's an AoE to it, there's a little slam to the ground, it staggers the player. It doesn't knock them down, it staggers them. And if you're running a certain weapon, for example, spear or staff, and occasionally some other weapons, you can actually secure an uppercut off of this. But that's besides the point. One of the main value points from this ability is that when you hit somebody with it, if you hit somebody with the AoE or with it just head on, you actually reduce their damage by, I think it's like 50% or something absurd. It's actually an insane amount of damage that they don't have anymore. It's not that you're gaining damage reduction, it's that they don't have as much damage. They get their damage output reduced, which is actually huge. And one of the things that I've sort of played around with in the past when I've played trios, the thought of being able to use this in very specific situations where, for example, let's say you use the F3 on a monk who's about to get a double slam, you cut all of that damage, and immediately it doesn't offer us anywhere near as much value. The double slam isn't a one shot, you know. And if you hit it onto a Takeda just as he's about to engage with his ultimate, this damage that he's missing out on is actually huge. He's not able to benefit anywhere near as much from his ultimate as he would normally be able to. But speaking of benefiting, NiHQ, my guy, the GOAT, hitting that huge double parry and into a follow-up there. Enemy team does have... Oh my lord! He's just a machine! This guy! Check his PC. No, I'm joking. NiHQ's just the GOAT. He's him. The jump parry coming through. It was a telegraphed house topper. But anyway, he's still a machine. He's getting caught in this wall, though. Is he going to be able to save his teammates? He does have another Fury Blast. in less than a second. He does have it up now. He uses it, but he's getting caught in the wall. He gets caught in the wisp. His zipping is trying to keep him alive. He's stuck in the zone, though. The pop comes through. Another Fury Blast coming through from 5-2-1. Pampy, the third party, and the GOAT is down. Nia HQ, unfortunately, is just not able to stay alive. Getting caught in that wisp, getting caught in that sand wall was just too much. Unfortunately, no matter how good you are, these kind of things will just mitigate all of it, and he gets taken down, unfortunately. XCG, they needed to try and take that fight. They were forced into this situation because of Yang depletion, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately for them, they do get taken out in this lobby. However, very nicely done by 5-2-1. So one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about is the Yang depletion situation. The point in the game when you know that certain teams have Yang depletion. You know that it's happening, which means that you know that these teams are going to have to find Soul Blooms, which means that you know that there are fights to third party. And being in position and being very good with your timings and able to find those third parties is it's big brain. It's big brain, chat. And 5-2-1 pull it off very nicely. Very, very nicely. They only use one ultimate as well, and they come in and get themselves some nice loot and a couple eliminations as well. Very nicely done.
Wolves here setting up yet again, gonna go for another Moore's Blessing into zone 4 here, and I don't think anybody can contest this from the position they're in already. Yeah, there it is. They're gonna pick up the legendary set of armor here, gonna throw it onto their test coming in. That's a legendary musket too. Not sure what the two soul jades are.
I think that's Storm Stride, and I don't know what that other health jade is, but it's either Repair Roll, Skyforce, or Desperation. There are only 3 health legendary J's, and those are the 3 of them. So it's one of the 3.
Desperation could be the only one I could see them leaving behind. Repair Roll is so good. Being able to iframe and then immediately have your, cannon repaired as well. And then, of course, Skyforce, just way too good. Picking up the full armor off of an elimination. There's no way with how much control they had over that box that it's either of those Jade. It has to be Desperation. You just would not leave that behind in professional play. Both of those Jades, way too good. As we see here. Somebody over here. Go ahead.
I mean, Desperation, the thing is, though, although I do agree with you, hey, shout out to Paku. Rest in peace, Paku. He's not playing the game at the moment. But shout out to Paku, the resident Desperation enjoyer. You can do a considerable amount with Desperation. They just got that golden musket. If one of them has Armor Pierce and Slow Shot, Desperation, they're going to one-shot someone. Like, that is over 1,000 damage. That is a one-shot if they headshot with that setup. So it's definitely, it does have its benefits. It does have potential value. And not only that, but one thing to know is that going into end games, since it's the final Morris, or one of the final Morrises, going into end games, when you're stuck in those bad situations where you're stuck in the zone, having that extra damage can actually mean a lot of difference. But speaking of damage, JJH just getting cooked in this building. They're desperately trying to claw their way into the zone here. The Tumulk ultimate has been committed. The Karumi ult as well. The Takeda ult. All of it's coming out, but Flames, he's going to be taken down by his namesake. The Flame Breath, the Rupture Gale. It's just doing so much work. Thankfully, they do have that Karumi, though.
Yeah. This is
exactly another potential
where that Karumi is better than the zipping. That tether is something that's heavily overlooked, I think, a lot of times in terms of like players going down. One of the reasons Transformers stuck around as long as it did, even if your monk went down in Final Circle, you could just Karumi tether and dash around and hide and just wait. Get your monk back into the game while everybody else turned their attention to the other monks in the lobby, right? Karumi, just one of those heroes in terms of support, very good. Flames here, playing a little risky. Unfortunately, they are in this situation because they did misplay, so now they have to hold this sort of position out in the middle. If they try to push into Team Wolves here, we're just going to see Flames go down to Wolves. yet again as they go to 12 eliminations. They get both of those off of JJH's flame here. Wolves in a really strong position. Let's see if they can clutch out this final circle. JJH, the rest of them, again, forced into this position because they get caught out there in the middle and lose flames early on. And Kurumi, unfortunately, there we go. They're able to find the tether on this time. Kurumi's going to be very careful that they don't move too far away, but Alliance is going to come in. This could be desperately bad for them, and I'm not sure. I don't see the tether up anymore. I do believe, yes, Chu Li either moved out of the way or was forced to break the tether to get away from some of those range shots. So JJH is going to have to do without flames as he gets ready to go ahead and time out down below here, where Wolves is just taking complete control of this side of the zone.
Indeed, this is it wasn't the best spot for them to be in. They were to be honest, they weren't in the worst position in that building, but the problem was their rotation timing. They chose to try and rotate later on, or potentially they were forced into rotating later because of poke damage that they received, and they had to try and heal up, and then the zone started moving, and it just all fell apart. But they were forced into a bad situation. They were sandwiched from all sides, just unable to find any footing. The buttery rocks definitely weren't helping, but thankfully two of them still are alive. They have managed to stay alive for the moment, though, and I say that considering the chaos that is ensuing as we speak. EWG on top of this straw roof, forced to use that Farrier ult, the Tumulk ult right next to them going down. Yin trying his best to tap dodge and try and avoid these turret shots. Thankfully, he manages to make it underneath the Farrier so that he can't actually get aimed at or get shot at by the Farrier. Chu Li, he's so low. He does pop that Kurumi ult though, and he manages to stay alive. So close to death. Chu Li manages to stay alive. 5-1 though, they're in a really rough position here as well. They are stuck inside this building, and EWG is just lurking at the edge. The Aurora burst. JJ's Chu Li, look at him. He's still on 1 HP, a sliver of health. The armor is still keeping him alive, but if one flame breath just manages to clip him, he is going to get taken down. I'm not sure if he just doesn't have healing berries or if he just can't find a moment to heal, but he's desperately in need of that healing. But VVV managing to take down Bowder Yeran into the zone. VVV popping another Tessa ultimate there, another charge being knocked down by the F1. Unfortunately, One Feng has been taken down, so they're in a rough situation. They need to try and either find a footing, try and get that full heal off and survive, or potentially try and resurrect their teammate, but it's going to be a tall order, especially with all of this action happening around them. 5-1 Yin taking down another player. EWG sitting at the top. We've got the Yueshan in transform state. 14 still has his Yotohime ult. He got gold dual blades as well. He's eating a dragon's roar, but it's not going to be enough to take him down just yet. He is still on his feet, but there it is. The Yotohime ult coming out. Revenge. He's about to meet the revenge from 14. 14 sending out these slashes any which way he can to try and get those heals, try and get those damage, potentially snipe away these eliminations. But speaking of, Wolves managing to find Bowder Peak on the low ground. 5-1 Pampy as well, eliminating 14 for good. JDG Kiki stuck in the middle of it, up against that cliffside, but JDG, they are stabilized. They are all together. They're managing to stay together, and this is one of the most important things that you can ask for in this kind of zone. Wolves ZK taking down another player, Bowder Jing. It looks as though Bowder might be down for the count. They are indeed. All three members are eliminated now. 5-1 Unique, though. They're starting to heat things up. JL getting picked off VVV, and another member has also been taken down. Wolves now forced to use the teleport to get to the top of the high ground, try and take this terrain for themselves to gain advantage over the rest of the lobby. JDG still standing strong on that cliff face. The poison splash coming in. This might actually be a huge detriment. The buffs to this, the anti-heal, might prevent them from getting the heals off if JDG chooses to try and engage, but it doesn't look as though they are. 5-1 now, holding that ultimate low ground, forcing out this Tumulk ultimate. JJH Godley still alive, the last remaining member of JJH, but forced to use his ultimate at this early of a stage is not a good position to be in. Now the Viper ult coming out. JDG to see something whatever. Takeda forcing now
Oh my
the
God,
ultimate,
Wolves
forced to
going
use it.
crazy.
Wolves trying to clean up the rest of the lobby, holding that ultimate low ground was exactly what they needed to do. All of these players just falling into the blender. Look at it, all the damage, but 5-1. They're fighting for their lives as well, all forced into the zone by that push. ZK dropping down, getting a huge parry. Pampy eats the brunt of it, but it doesn't look like it's enough to take him down just yet. 5-1, pulls out the Flamebringer, but JDG still alive. But Unity manages to take him down in the end. And there it is!